When I think of water pollution, I always think about microplastics, turtles swallowing plastic bags, and like waste washing up on beaches.
I think like contaminants in the water that are hazardous to be drinking.
I think factors that have caused the Lough Neagh to get like this. I've heard something about zebra mussels. I don't know if that's a theory or if that's a fact. And also slurry flowing in from the rivers.
From what I hear, it's the nutrients that are run off from the slurry that they put in fields that find its way into the rivers, which lead back to the loch.
So every natural water contains nutrients. I guess the word pollution comes in when there are more than there would be from the natural background level. So let me talk about cultural eutrophication. Eutrophic means well nourished, and cultural is because it has something to do with human activities. So basically, if I'm doing agriculture or anything else, and that activity lets nutrients transfer into a natural water body, then I'm adding to the nutrients that were in there, and I'm going to trigger changes in that water body.
The pressures us farmers are under is with the weather, the rain, the days that allow us to spread slurry, but the weather is not letting us, as the rain has made the ground that wet that we can't get onto the ground to spread slurry. Back before there was slurry tankers, we used hard dung, which was safer, you may say, for the ground and for us when we were working with it. But as time goes on, ground has become more and more soft from big heavy tractors going onto it, and also the slurry is killing more and more worms, which also has effect on the nutrients in the ground to make grass grow.
So fertilizers make algae grow, and algae are a very diverse group. So the ones that are causing the public outrage are actually bacteria. So they grow very, 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 very fast. What unites them all and those bacteria is that they can do photosynthesis like plants. And like plants, agriculture does this all the time. So we put fertilizer onto a field because we want more yield. We want more biomass. In a lake we don't want that, but once the nutrient gets in and the algae or the bacteria are very fast at growing and in suitable circumstances, they, like a sponge, take all that nutrient from the water and put it into their own cells.
Well, we've been here nearly 7 years now, and when we first came, the condition of the loch hadn't changed. The water was quite good. And progressively over the last sort of 3 years, it's got worse and worse.
Well, I've seen a lot of things like online about the current state of Lough Neagh, pictures of the algae bloom showing from like satellites and stuff. So I think it's not good right now.
It's a terrible thing to be happening and puts us back years in terms of getting rid of it.
Something that we find as farmers is that they close the last day for slurry in the beginning or the 15th of October while there's still really good weather, but then they open it in February when the ground's saturated and expect us to try to get it out and so forth. So the balance isn't there. It's better to put it in the dry weather and not do the ground as much harm as to put it out in wet weather and it run into the rivers.
In summer we used to love coming down here, going for a swim at the loch, but now we just wouldn't even consider it. At certain times of the year when the algae is in bloom, the smell can be horrendous and you just don't really want to be down here, so we avoid coming down here altogether.
Because the Lough Neagh is one of our main water sources, if we're very reliant on it and then suddenly we can't drink it at all, there could be like a water shortage. We could run out of tap water.
It's quite not very nice to contemplate the effects long term it's going to have.
If most of the drinking water is unusable, it might even spread to the bit that we can use.
We shouldn't have to worry about what we're drinking, what we're doing around these water sources, because they are supposed to be such a source of enjoyment.
I think farmers have over the years tried their best to work with the guidelines they've been given, and in that, it's sad to say they're still looked at as the individuals who are causing the harm. Farmers aren't destroying the loch the way people say. We've done many things that the government have asked us to comply with that.
Concerning Lough Neagh, actually, the issue is, you will be surprised to hear, not worse than it was 10, 20 years ago, because it was already bad. You had already a very high level of phosphorus in there. Also, phosphorus being one of the essentials for plant growth or growth of photosynthetic organisms. And that has stayed on that high level for decades. It was the intensification of agriculture plus a few other things that we did here, particularly in Northern Ireland. This phenomenon is happening everywhere where we are basically having intensive agriculture and other activities. It's a worldwide problem wherever humans live. We call it population growth. Agriculture had to become more intensive, so it is a global problem.
We grew up on the coast in New Zealand, so we're very much drawn to water, like a lot of other people are. We love lochs and lakes and coming to them because of the benefits of it. So the fact that things are changing in the climate and affecting these water sources, it's quite sad, because it is a source that we can use to really benefit us, our health.
Recovery plans would be long-term in its very nature, and I think that's where politics probably goes wrong. While, it has taken us decades to ruin it in a way, and it will take decades for it to come back. So there's a huge nutrient storage in the sediment that is basically the bank in which we've been saving up phosphorus over decades. And the loch will hang on to that and will only slowly release that and then drain it towards the sea. Even if we shut everything off, it'll probably take 20, 30 years. And of course, we're not shutting everything off, because then that would be the end of agriculture in Northern Ireland.
Well, if the right support was there, all the slurry in the land running into the lochs, if they changed the laws and let them put it out when the weather was dry, they should really have it. The cut-off point should be maybe halfway through November, because the ground's not saturated by that stage. But in January and February, the ground's saturated. So it's the people at the top that who maybe have never stood on a farm make the guidelines, but the farmers know best when to put the stuff out.
What's happening to the loch, it should influence change. I realise it's not in agreement with some in society, but realistically, there needs to be unity of mind for change to happen. I genuinely believe in a creator that can solve these problems, but I know that some don't believe that in themselves, but humans in general, they do have, to some extent, the power to change these, but unity of mind needs to prevail so that these changes do happen.
Rarely, I think, such change is non-reversible, but once you reach a stage like that, it may be harder actually to get back to the original stage than it was to get to that, if you like, non-natural state.
Well, it would need to be clean, and it would need to be a solution that can last, so one that's renewable.